I will introduce myself. Most of you present here in the room will know me, but the guys on TV maybe not. So, yeah, my name is Georg. I'm a research staff here at ITT. My background is environmental management, bachelor, and with focus on tropics and subtropics here, the master, and my PhD I did at the Department of Geography in the University of Bonn, special focus on geomorphology/hydromorphology. So this is also the overall topic of my ongoing research. So I work mostly with freshwater systems, namely rivers and lakes. And within these water bodies, I'm mainly interested in the relation between the biotic and the abiotic components. So how physical structures, for example, influence aquatic organisms and their behavior and their appearance. And a special focus is the hydromorphology, which is more or less the structure of the water bodies, how they look like. And here I put, that's a little hobby of mine. This is close to my where I live. So when I go for running, I take I take photographs every month or so. So at the very same site to see how the river or the stream in this case changes throughout the year and throughout the years, depending on flood events, on dry seasons and stuff. So this is actually what hydromorphology is all about, how rivers look like and how they change throughout the time. So what I do for a living, let's say, I'm mainly involved in assessing hydromorphology, meaning looking at it and giving it some evaluation. And you know colors. Red means something not so good, blue means something good, and this is actually what we do. We assess rivers using mobile devices, which are based on simple surveys or not so simple surveys, depends which ones you use. And in the result you get these maps showing the river in terms of its hydromorphological quality. And this can be applied for a variety of purposes in river basin management. Think of river restoration, for example. Think of identifying hotspots of ecological hotspots within the river corridor. So these are only some examples what you can do, but also simply for surveying, long-term surveying of rivers. Because what you do is you do this let's say every 6 years at defined stretches, and then hopefully you see some change or some development of rivers. We use this information for managing our rivers or for improving our rivers, and this is one of our core concepts we are based on. That's the concept of biological dispersal, which comes from terrestrial ecosystems, ecological corridors. Very quickly, it says that you have some sort of core habitats, and from these core habitats you have a sort of biological dispersal, meaning fish migrate, or benthic invertebrates are just moving along the river. And this also improves the ecological status within such core habitats. And this is very helpful for thinking about investment. You have a certain amount of money, you cannot improve the whole river, but if you focus on these core habitats, you improve the overall integrity of the river ecology. So using biological concepts for saving money, if you put it very short. And that's how it looks like. You do your assessment and then you identify core habitats. That's the blue ones which are already there. and you can identify these green ones which should be there, because you cannot have too long stretches in between these core habitats. So now it goes into the management, and in the end you get maps like this. This is a map from Luxembourg, where we are involved in the river basin management, which shows more or less the hotspots of ecological stress, let's say. So these maps are used by the authorities to focus their investments. So what we did analysis and say, okay, you have, I think, like 4, 5, or 6 hotspots. So if you improve these, you will have much greater effect than, for example, improving areas which are not so degraded, let's say. The framework, now it comes to you. This is what I'm doing, more or less. I have to say I'm working here at the ITT, but at the same time working in a consultant for environmental issues, and this work mainly comes from the consultancy. So the framework for the master thesis is the regional focus is mainly Germany, but it's not mandatory. It's not that you can do only master theses happening in Germany. It's only that the projects, most of them, are happening in Germany and Luxembourg. What you should bring along, some sort of GIS skills, some skills or some interest in fieldwork and surveying, meaning also doing monotonous work, like doing the same thing over and over again, like filling out field surveys for river stretches, some hundreds of them, or maybe. Yeah, creating your own data, that's a very valuable thing, because in the end you have your own database and which you can trust, hopefully. The good thing about master thesis is in this scope that it has a very practical approach. So these projects are some sort of research slash real world projects, let's say. So we have a very strict agenda, very strict objectives, limited budget. So it's no, meaning that we are very straightforward. We are not like us. I cannot invite 3 students to Morocco or something. Yeah. Sorry. Requirements. You should have at least some sort of German skills to come along, some sort, to follow discussions and to read the literature and stuff. GIS, as I said, and statistic would be good, and of course familiar with the basics of scientific working and writing, but I think that's obvious. So here are 3 tentative topics which I have in mind, which are interesting for us in the nearer future. The first one, how can drones, 3D imagery, augmented reality, and all these technologies support citizen science for river ecology? I will come to this in short. What does this mean? A second topic, how to make hydromorphological assessment, that what we saw, these maps and these surveys, flexible and applicable for different research challenges and regions. Imagine so that you can do the same thing in your country where you come from, or in any country, let's say in the tropics and subtropics. And another topic, fine sediments and the sampling of fine sediments within rivers, and using these samples as footprints to identify stressors, multiple stressors. So the first topic is basically the idea creating a virtual room, like Street View, but the same thing for rivers. Let's say, let's call it river view, but this project already exists. But something like this, yeah. Creating such kind of a river view and putting information inside so that you can sit on your computer and visiting the river and see certain information, monitoring data. Also for environmental education, you could put some questions and answer things and stuff. So this is the idea, to develop such a prototype. We are working on this already, but really to develop such a prototype. Another company is involved, which is specialized in this media part. You would use drones, GIS, and all this software to process the data and create such a showcase of a virtual river. The second topic would be adopting hydromorphological assessment tools for tropics and subtropics, checking out what is there as tools, what is necessary, for example, in Brazil or anywhere else, and try to adapt these tools. So we are working right now on a new version, on a mobile version which runs on any device, but the parameters and stuff, they have to be adapted. So we had 5 years ago, we had a workshop in Brazil, in Rio, where we worked 1 week on what would be necessary for having such a system in Brazil. So rivers are different, and also the setting is different, what is interesting for the people, for the professionals there. And then we adapted the survey. This could be done also in other parts of the world. And the topic with the fine sediments, which involves a very new device, apparatus, which this guy here, that's my boss, he developed, which measures colmation within rivers, meaning clogging, compacting of the riverbed. And because until now there is no such device which really quantifies this problem. You have several methods, but nothing which really gives you a number quantifying the problem. And you would work with this device, which is completely new, which has to be, for example, calibrated. You get numbers, but there is no reference system. There is no reference state for certain river types, and no classification. What does, like temperature, no? What does 10 degrees mean? Is it cold or is it already a little bit warm and stuff? I think you get the idea. Yeah, these are the 3 topics which are quite specific, but any topic involving rivers, hydromorphology, technique, I like GIS and drones and stuff. So anything what you could imagine also come up and we can discuss and maybe find your topic. That's it from my side. So if there is any question, no?
Well, actually, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you mentioned that these topics are for Germany, and they also could be adapted for other areas.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking of when I have my project, my master project, I would like to have a co-supervisor to add the points that he's trying to do with his project into my project, like to be a secondary objective. That's the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just asking if this is possible with you, or also with you, Dr.
Always.
In general, yes. What I meant with Germany, that these projects are happening in Germany. So if you want to be involved in these projects, they're happening in Germany. But we can also add you to the project as like a side project, and you do something somewhere else. No, so that's also possible. But this also is possible.